under 4 left. The barn is alive again.
Good morning, guys. Welcome to another session of Bowls. I'm Charles, and here today I'm with my co-host Paulie.
Hey.
And we've got two great athletes here. We've got Frank Johnson, a.k.a. Uncle Frank, and we've got Emma Clarke here. How are we doing today, guys?
Doing great, thank you, Charles and Paulie. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, doing good, thank you.
Thank you both for joining us. Now, I guess we're going to talk today about your journeys, your pathways. But first of all, let's just chat a bit about yourselves. So, Emma,
Yes.
let's talk about you for a moment. We'll jump to you in a moment, Frank. But where have you been playing prior to COVID? And I guess what was your career? What was happening?
So prior to COVID, I was at the University of Colorado in America, and then I just transferred to Texas Tech, but I haven't made it back there yet because of COVID. So
Yes.
Just playing in Australia at the moment.
Fantastic. Now, prior to playing in the US, what were you playing? Where were you playing here in Australia?
So 6 months before I left the US, I was at the AIS, the Center of Excellence, for a year, doing my year 12. And then before that, I was just WA basketball in the SBL and stuff.
Okay.
That's awesome.
And the AIS, was that the centre here or the one over in Melbourne?
The one in Canberra.
Oh, the one in Canberra. Oh,
Yes.
the official headquarters. Wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you were there on a scholarship then?
Yes, I was, yeah.
Wow.
Awesome.
Now, completing a year 12, how many hours were you doing training and exercising, and then you've got to do your schoolwork? How do you balance that?
Yeah, so it was probably about 20 hours a week with the weight sessions, recovery sessions, film sessions, on-court sessions, all that. And then the weekends we would travel to, Sydney and Melbourne. It was pretty hard, but, doing ATAR as well. So, hard to manage both, but got through it.
Absolutely. And now, Uncle Frank, you, of course, have played basketball for many years, but you also run Be The Student Training Camp. Let's talk a bit about your career as well, because, where did you start playing basketball?
I started playing pretty young. Like when I was, I started playing domestic at Redback, so in Victoria Park, and then obviously just like my older brothers and stuff played. So I fell in love with it quite early. Just always, I loved the game, loved to work hard, and just always been like a big supporter of basketball in general.
Now, you and Charles, of course, have played together and travelled together. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so in 2014, Charles and I went to the US. With St. Norman College, went on a USA basketball tour, and that's kind of where our interest even grew more, because we played against some of the amazing US athletes, and we're like, man, we can somewhat compete against these guys. We're gonna go home and work hard and try to get back out there, which I did about a year and a half later.
No, that's fantastic. Sorry.
And speaking on your basketball and you as a player, so as somebody that played with you, I noticed since a young age it was always basketball. I want to get better. You were at school early mornings, 6 o'clock, late evenings. You missed school events. Tell us more about the reasons why you were like that. What made you be that person?
I think for me, like especially with just as Charles and the school we went to, like I was, one of the better players there. But then when I would go and play wobble, so with the Western Australian Basketball League, or when I would go play against some other kids in the state, I just didn't quite feel like I was as good as them or whatever. So that's what drove me kind of, like as good as it was, being the best in my own little bubble. I didn't consider myself very good compared to the whole WA, my age group. So that's why I'll just continuously work on my game, work on my craft, and try to get as much reps as I can to improve my game. So I was living and breathing it.
And living and breathing basketball, you were playing SBO at a pretty early age. You were training, playing throughout your high school, throughout your later years of high school. So after high school, where did you go with basketball? What was your plan after high school, and where was it to from there? And what was your plan? What was in your thoughts? Like, where do I want to go?
Took a little twist. So when I finished high school, like I said, once again, I found myself in a space where I didn't consider myself, as good as what I wanted to be, as some of my peers. So that drove me even more. So I spent the whole, the gap year. So from when you just graduated high school, I spent that whole year just working. I played for Willerton Tigers for a year, played under 20s. And I just spent that whole year pretty much trying to get my body right. I was dealing with a couple of injuries. So I worked that whole year. And then I found myself at Lakeside. So this is when I was 18 years old. Found myself at Lakeside, made the SBL team there, made the under 20 state team again that year. And then things just took off from there. Got the opportunity to go to the US later on that year on a full scholarship to a junior college in Nebraska, which was great. So after high school, pretty much worked my butt off, tried to play SBL, and then try to get a scholarship in the US, and then.
And following through with that, you've obviously you've had a number of injuries. Tell us how you went about all that, recovering, deciding when to come back and play, and what motivated you to push through all those injuries and be where you are today.
Yeah, and I guess I spoke a little bit about it in a few other segments, but it's still something that you deal with every day. Like it's really like easier said than done. I guess if you can't really feel the pain unless you're like the person in the body going through the injuries. As you would know, like you've had a few Achilles injuries yourself. But even up to today, I still deal with it. It's something that stays in your mind because you play a game of like what if, and the what if is like if you didn't get injured, where would you be? Or if you did get it, so many people don't know this, but like at the time, when I did do my the second ACL, so the one in the US. Yeah, so there's two now. So the one in the US, when I did do that one. It wasn't a big school, but I was talking to a Division II school in the US, which for me was great. Like to have to get an opportunity to go and play, in Texas, Wayland Baptist. So I was talking to them, and I was looking forward to go and play there. But as soon as my knees blew out, that was pretty much it. There was no like connection with me and the coach no more. Like he didn't even like message me after that. So yeah, so that's kind of what you do with like what if you didn't get hurt, what if you would have kept playing that, yeah.
Just going to go back to Emma for a moment and ask, what motivated you to start playing basketball? Because Frank's got an amazing story there, but all the young women want to know what motivated you.
Well, all my friends at like primary school wanted me to play netball with them. But I played netball with the school for about a year, and I just absolutely hated it. I couldn't run around everywhere, and I couldn't, get physical and everything. So, yeah, I started basketball, and then just watching the Olympics on TV.
Which year Olympics was this? Sorry.
Oh, it would have been two or three Olympics ago.
And the Opals?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So watching them, and I was just really aspiring to get there one day, and then. Yeah, since then it just kind of took off, and I just worked every day and as much.
You actually played for the Opals.
I played for a junior team.
But still, that was huge. So you dreamed that, and it came true. Like you achieved that goal.
Yeah.
That's huge.
You got to put on the yellow and gold.
Yeah, you represented this country.
Green and gold.
Green and gold. same thing, but yeah.
The child doesn't see colour.
And of course, that's all been interrupted with COVID. And I want to tie that in with how you both now give back so much to the community with your training camps and whatnot. Because, a couple of years ago, I think in the last episode, Charles and Shaq were discussing people with your experience and talent weren't here. They weren't providing the courses, the training, the skills for these students. Yeah. And that's a huge opportunity. So just talking about how you've been involved with, I guess, Be the Student and other Aussie prospects, how have you found that experience?
It's been really good. Since I guess I grew up a lot being in the United States, so coming back, I feel like trying to give back to the kids more and give them my experience and, advice for their, future careers. So it's been really good to work with, Be the Student and the Aussie Prospects Camp. Yeah. Working with the girls especially, giving them motivation and all that. So yeah, it's been really rewarding. Yeah.
That was a huge Aussie Prospects Camp, and how many people attended, Frank?
I would say it was nearly like 150 kids. It was big.
Yeah, and even at the Be the Student tournament, how many did you have attend there?
Probably about the same. A lot of kids there. Yeah.
So it just shows you how big the culture is here in WA.
Correct. And with Frank, speaking of Be the Student, what inspired you to start Be the Student, and when did you start it?
It's really interesting. Someone actually asked me this question the other day, and just like to think about it at the back of my mind, and Charles would remember this, I started coaching like in general, like kids or training in like year 8. Like we would have to play a game and then coach the year 7s, and then year 9 you would have to play and then coach the year 7s, and then it's just so on and so on. So as you get older, obviously, we would play games and then we'd have to get to coach the younger kids. So it started then, but obviously the B student didn't actually form early on then, but like the mind of a coach started, really early. Yeah. And I would always watch film. I love watching film, love studying the game, and that's kind of where the B student thing came from. Like study the game, like it's more than basketball. It's not just playing. You got to do a lot more work outside of the court.
It's mindset.
It's so mental, yeah. So that's where the Be the Student kind of came from, being a student of the game. But anyways, it really kicked off when so a little bit before I went to the US. But then when I came back from the US, so obviously I hurt my knee in college, And then when I did hurt my knee, I was actually coaching and training my teammates. That's how it really sparked. And then so I started training one of my teammates, Panache, his name was, which Charles knows. And then all of a sudden, like our starting point guard, Caleb Hardaway at the time was like, yo, bro, can I get some work in? And I'm thinking like, okay, well, obviously I'm doing something okay, And then so I started training our starting point guard. And then one of our big men, our four man, his name is Shoei, now plays in Japan in the top league there. He also started getting some work in. So I'm like, okay, well, I got to think of something now. And then so I was like, man, I got to think of a brand name. So man, that same day I started being a student. It was crazy. And then came back home to Australia, and then started running camps, started doing training sessions, and then it just pretty much took off. And
you've had students that have now been picked up, like a Duop, Reith. He's now playing overseas. There's
athletes that are younger than Duop that I do work with and try to aspire to be like him. But Duop is a different situation. We knew him as growing up as a kid. I played against him, but he was a story where he went to the US, did his time, played in the summer league, but he came back home and obviously he knew who I was. He knew I was training. Yeah. And then we linked up and we started training. Started doing some workouts and getting prepared for Europe. So I didn't train Duop from a young age.
But you've been with him there to help and give him the advice to go back and
for sure. Yeah. So he's actually helped a lot of the young guys away and also helped a lot of other coaches. Get on some paths and some journeys. So great guy.
Definitely. And speaking on programs like Be the Student, House of Hoops, Coach Molly basketball, like half of these basketball programs or coaches that went, coaches now, there's so many coaches here that are trying to help kids get better, that understand the game better. 5, 6, 7 years ago, when we were younger, there wasn't any of these programs out there. What do you think, and basketball is progressing in WA, what do you guys think is something that basketball in WA needs to give it that extra push, or is it more of programs like this, I need to keep it going, but what do you think it is that's going to give basketball that extra kick in WA or in Basketball Australia?
Do you want to answer that? I'm going to get it? For me, I think I've been thinking about it like, so a couple of years ago, this wasn't a discussion, but the honest truth is, and I guess a lot of coaches maybe disagree or agree, that as a coach, we got to give these kids like basketball lessons or workouts and life lessons at the same time, because the reality is a very small percent of basketball players make it. Like you got to be like in the 0.1, like make it big time to make a living out of it, right? Yeah. So I believe anyways that as if you want to share your knowledge with kids and or athletes in general, you should somewhat have a bigger focus of impacting their lives and give them some tools that they can use in the real world, because most of them may go through their juniors, play domestic, play wobble, maybe play SBL, because not many kids even get to play SBL to begin with, and then obviously go further to NBL and college and so on. So I think it's about the coaches. What we should be focusing on is give your kids the quality workout that you desire and teach them what you want to teach them, but try to form some sort of a life lesson, or try to build the resilience up of something, because that's what they're going to need more than the dribbling and the shooting, because that's going to fade eventually.
Well, going straight onto that, I mean, with your AIS scholarship, how did you prepare for that? I mean, coming into that, what didn't you know, or what would you pass on to people that may be thinking about that as a pathway?
Yeah, so I worked as hard as I could when I was in WA, and I had no idea that the scholarship was even on offer until I got the phone call from the head coach there. Oh. So I had no idea, and, I was just training and doing my own thing, and then I think it was like October 2016, I got a phone call one day inviting me, to come and live there. Wow. So, that was a really big day for me, and I was just like, oh my goodness, I didn't know that was happening.
So that was all happening behind the scenes without you knowing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So they'd been obviously keeping an eye on you and tabs on you in your career up to this point.
Yeah, and I'd heard that they were, keeping in contact with the high performance manager of WA and state coaches and everything like that, and I just had no idea. So I was really fortunate that, I was working so hard, not knowing that anyone was watching. Yeah. But when I was at the AIS, and then when I came back, and after being in college now, I'd say the thing at the AIS, being away from home, and it was my first kind of big kind of deal, I guess, when I
Yes.
was younger, was to have more confidence in my game and in myself, and, you know, not really worrying about, oh, I think she's better than me, I'm just going to, you know, take a step back, but, you know, being more confident and believing that you can, you know.
Having belief in yourself.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the biggest one that I would say is my takeaway.
But also, do you find that working with the best helps you become better?
Yeah, no, I definitely believe that. I think if you work out with people that aren't as good as you, you're going to fall to their standard as well. So if you work out with people better than you, then they're just going to push you to be better.
Now, the mindset, Frank's spoken a lot about that. What sort of mindset? I mean, you've spoken about putting in as much work as you can, but did you have something that you motivated on, or a goal that you wanted to work towards, or what was inspiring you through this?
Well, I did have my, you know, my ultimate goal of, you know, playing for Australia and all that, but mine was more of a day-by-day mindset, like not trying to get too caught up in too much in the future, but doing as much as I can that day to be the best I can, and then forget about that day, and the next day try to be that 1% better. So that was my
That's a
focus.
brilliant mentality
Yeah.
and mindset to have. You hear that, kids? So that's that right there is a gem.
So because both of you have been overseas, played basketball overseas, studied overseas, what do you, maybe both of you can answer this question, what is one thing that most people wouldn't understand or won't experience until they get into that situation? Like one word of advice, like, you know, like this was a struggle as a basketball athlete over there, so keep in mind, you guys got to watch out for this, whether it was mental stress or whatever it was. I guess, Frank, you can start.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like as you were saying that question, I was just trying to think about my experience in the US, and like I had a great time for sure. Like when I was there, it was excellent. But the what I think people need to understand is like it's all good and glamorous to have ambitions to go to the US and you got to thrive and, you know, work towards that. But when you get there, it's not going to always be what you think. And what I mean by that is like if you may be the best player here or the most athletic player here in WA, even in Australia. But you get to the US, then there's like millions of kids like just like you. Or you might be the best shooter here in Perth, you know, whatever, you know. And you get over there, and then you're the worst shooter on the team, you know. So I think athletes need to understand is however you feel when you're working here towards your goals and dreams in the US, you gotta understand that when you get there, there's a whole different level of expectation that, you know, that you're gonna need, to live to. So I guess to wrap it up, it's just don't go in there too cocky or too arrogant. Go in there within like a humble attitude, and even like from a culture standpoint, you know, just go in and try to adapt to the US culture as quick as you can. They do things differently than us. They even say words differently than us. So yeah, it's just about adapting and just on and off the court, adapting and being ready for change. I guess preparing
That's a
yourself
good
for
one.
that.
Being ready for change and adapting.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'd say for me, definitely my freshman year. You know, you're so busy, caught up. You're taking 6 classes. You have weight sessions, film sessions, early morning. You have the recovery, the food stations you have to attend to, and you know it takes up most of your day. But you know, you have the team practice and everything. You have to make sure that you get in the gym yourself. You know, you have to do that 1% better to make sure your game's getting better.
Definitely.
You can't just rely on the team practice and the individual coaching with the with you know different coaches and your position coaches, but you know, you have to get up the extra shots, and you just can't rely on the structure. You have to do as much as you can to be better.
That's awesome.
Great advice. Thank you. Now, are we going to ask them about their favourite plays, or that's normally
This is one of our favorite questions.
This is Charles' question.
I've seen both of you guys play, but just for people watching, what do you think was? I'll probably ask you 2 questions: your greatest experience throughout basketball, and one of your greatest plays that you felt like it was something you held on to. Whether you dunked on somebody, whether you broke somebody's ankles. I'll probably start with Emma.
Yeah. I would say my greatest experience would be going to Guam when, you know, I represented the U17 Australian national team for the Oceania Championship.
Did you guys win?
We did. We won gold, which was awesome. Yeah, it was great. And I got an all-star at that tournament. So I got, you know, this really big trophy. It was really cool. But yeah, it was a really good time. That's probably my best experience. My best play, I would say, would be when I was in under 16s in the national tournament. We played New South Wales in a semi-final. And we went into overtime, and I had like 6 threes in overtime, right? And we ended up winning by like, I think only by like 3 or 4. But that was my like career game. You know, I had like 42 points, like 15 rebounds. But then, like I have a triple double, right? But I don't want to say the other stat. I had 14 turnovers that game. So like it's, you know, the points and all that's great, and we got the win, but we ignore the turnovers.
Game-winning points, yeah.
But yeah, winning that game was really monumental for us.
That's crazy.
Uncle Frank?
14 turnovers, man.
Come on. She won the game. She won the game for the team.
It's a gold medalist.
She beat New South Wales.
We're talking
New
to,
South
guys.
Wales is tough.
I know, man. They could have. Yeah. Anyways, that's a discussion for another day.
So your favourite play?
Favorite play would probably be probably my first bucket for Lakeside. You know, when I first played SBO, the first game. It was like a catch on the wing, like left-hand drive. Got fouled. I didn't really feel like I got fouled, but the ref called the foul anyways. I kind of just like hanged and then and kind of finished my left, and which is really good. And, like for me, it was just it wasn't anything spectacular, but I guess it was just like my first bucket, so that kind of felt really good. I guess people like, you know, when you first play, you know, your first bucket.
Was that your first game time on the court as well for Lakeside?
Yeah, first time for Lakeside.
Yeah, you'll never forget that moment.
You never forget that.
And I guess most memorable moment.
Yeah.
Most memorable moment, probably. So I left. This is the one. Charles remembers this one. Maybe he remembers it. Maybe he wants to be a hater, but anyways, we'll just say it. For memorable was gave it. Like when I say give it, I mean like gave it to Charles in a grand final game in 2014. It was so long story short.
There's footage of this somewhere.
Yeah, there actually is. There's photos of it for sure.
Oh yeah, there's some photos actually.
But anyways, long story short, Charles had a team and I had a team in the first semester of high school. And
let's put it out there that they never wanted us on the same team.
Okay, but just no, it's my story.
Didn't want us on the same
Hey, let the guest speak. Let the guest speak.
Hey, Uncle Charles, hold up. He doesn't want me to say that. But anyway, but yeah, so Charles is right. They didn't want us on the same team at all because they knew there was going to be some problems. But yes, anyway, so Charles in other year 12s, me and some other kids, were in 2 separate teams. My team was obviously better. We won. But then the second semester, they put me with some kids. Like, I had no U12s in my team. My team I was like the LeBron on the team.
Oh, wow.
Now, obviously not as good as LeBron, but I'm talking about domestic. We're talking about domestic.
Yeah.
Anyways. Like I said, in my own bubble, I was LeBron. In my own little world, right? My own little world, I was LeBron. But anyways, in the grand final against Charles, had one of my best friends, Musa. He had all the people he needed. Aiden Murphy, played for East Perth Eagles. He had everyone that you needed.
I won.
But somehow Uncle Frank gave him the work. I maybe had 50 that game. Probably. But anyways, long story short, they had everyone they needed, and it was really good because after the game, I had a little smirk on my face. Charles and Musa didn't talk to me.
Happy.
They left straight away.
I took photos with you.
No, you didn't. They were mad, salty.
Yeah.
Salty. You used to take candy from a baby? That was what it's like.
So, listeners, if you can find that footage, make sure you post
Probably
that
lost
in the
somewhere, man. It's probably lost.
If someone
It's on
has that
Facebook
footage,
somewhere.
post it in the comments section of this episode, and we will look through it. And I'm sure Charles and I
Yes.
will have a review where we watch that.
The evidence will be
That
revealed.
would be interesting. Now, when we finish, we're going to finish up shortly. But
Yes.
where can kids find Be the Student? How can they find out the amazing work that you do?
Excellent. I would say kids for sure all have social media. So Instagram at Be the Student, and then parents, would be the Facebook page.
Facebook, and you've got YouTube as well, so they can see
you got to go to YouTube channel. Got to load it up.
Fantastic. Are people able to follow you at all, Emma, on social media? Or,
Yeah, if they want
yes.
to.
Well, which team can they? Which team are you currently playing?
Texas Tech.
Texas
University.
Tech. So
Yes.
check out Texas Tech.
Are you currently playing SBL at the moment?
No, it's against NCAA rules.
Oh, really?
Yes, but I'm training with them. I'm allowed to train.
That's good. At least
no
you're able to get
playing.
your work in.
Yeah.
Just to add to that, if there's any
Please.
female athletes that inspire to go play overseas one day, it'd be great to reach out to Emma. I'm sure she'd love to chat to you guys, and then potentially do some sessions with you guys if you guys are interested. Yeah, just Yeah, just add her on Instagram, give her a message. She more. I think she'd.
Or hit up
you can
Uncle
speak. You
Frank.
can speak. Why am I speaking for you? You speak for yourself.
You took the mic.
Or hit up Uncle Frank, and he can get in touch with Emma. And
She's
listen,
very busy. D1 athletes are very busy. So
guys, she's got a huge amount of experience and probably one of the best coaching experiences you'll ever have. So make sure you hit up both Be the Student, Uncle Frank, and Emma. Listen, was there anything else, Charles?
No, just closing up, guys. Just want to express how important it was and how special it was to have these two special guests here. Obviously, they're also close friends of ours, but they're also very. A lot of people look up to these people. They
give a lot back to the community.
They give a lot back to the community. So just giving a special shout out to Be the Student Basketball. Big shout out to Emma Clarke. And be sure to follow them. If you see them at a game, don't be scared to say hi. If you see them in person, don't be afraid to ask a question.
Or take a selfie.
That's it right there, people.
And before we go, make sure you follow them. Follow Balls.
Follow Balls.
On Facebook, Instagram.
Balls.au.
Thank you very much to Charles and House of Hoops. Thank you to DRM1.
Thank you so much to Paulie, the man himself.
Yes, sir.
Don't forget to follow DRM1. And thank you for watching, people.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Linesman with his height, they would just take it away from him. Under 4 left, the barn is alive again. 52-51, Illinois. Griffey.